there's a thing in nature that the males are usually the most prettiest and handsome, really handsome. Well, I keep telling my wife that that's the same way in humans too, but she always hits me. So, don't go home and tell your mother or father about that. But in nature, usually the male dominant bird, especially, is the bright colored, really pretty. Why do you think is that? What's the female have to do that the male doesn't have to do? They cook? No, not in nature. Birds don't cook.
And we have heard about a gentleman that's canoeing in a kayak from Lake Itasca down to Louisiana. And there he is right now out in Lock and Dam 13.
He must be strong. Hi, mister.
Hi, kids.
He's gonna paddle the whole length of the river.
The Australian expedition is gaining time.
It isn't often that we come across a story where man conquers nature, but that's happening right now along the banks of the Mississippi, as an Australian kayaker shows inner strength and a great deal of courage.
Courage? Huh. I wish he'd have the courage to let me look after him. I mean, look at his hands, they're a mess. The more I warn him, the more he won't listen to me. He's just become so pig-headed. He won't even talk to me. I know he's feeling a lot of tension, but he could at least be civil.
The strain is beginning to show. Davenport, Iowa. 3 local canoeists decide to paddle with Ron for the morning to keep his spirits up.
See you later, mate. Thanks very much for last night. New Boston now. That's at 4:33. And feel like doing about 50 miles tomorrow. It should put us roughly in there we go. That'll be at Fort Madison, which is 384.
That'll be 49 miles.
Since it's only 49 miles, we'll throw 2 checkpoints in there. That first one will be down at, here we are, Lock and Dam number 18.
The locks along the Mississippi are smaller than most barges. So a slow process of splitting each barge and locking it through in 2 sections occurs.
I made and he got a big double.
Kevin, can you tell Ron that you'll have to wait a bit over an hour because of this barge, and the lockmaster wants you both to go around the point over to your left.
River traffic is locked on a priority basis. Pleasure craft wait for all other traffic.
We got plugged up, we got the right wire plugged up, it's totally.
How are you feeling, Ron?
It was a bit hard out in those waves.
Lock 19 at Keokuk is closed for the day for repairs. An unexpected portage is necessary. The Mississippi riverboat era was one of unprecedented prosperity, excitement, and growth. And nowhere in America's history was there a more romantic chapter written. Hannibal, Missouri, birthplace of Samuel Clemens, known to the world through his books as Mark Twain. Ron has gained more ground.
Today, nearing the halfway point of his 55-day journey, he reached where the Illinois and Mississippi rivers intersect, near Grafton. Bath has already taken his kayak down the Murray River in Australia, but he said this is the toughest thing he's ever done.
Here comes the film crew.
You've just crossed the halfway mark.
Hey, bloody music!
This calls for a celebration.
You're equal with the record at this point? And in how many days? 27. 27 days.
Just don't sit around and do it. Always have a goal. So the biggest thing we've got to handle is water.
This is KMOX, Channel 4, St. Louis.
A man from Australia is traveling the rivers of the Western world in a kayak. Now, that's tough enough for most people, but this voyager is paralyzed from the waist down.
Today, an update on Ron Bath and his Mississippi Challenge. He pulled into St. Louis about 1 o'clock this afternoon. Bath started out at the source of the Mississippi, Lake Itasca in upper Minnesota. He'll end his challenge at the Gulf of Mexico. Ron Bath has been a paraplegic since he was an infant. If he succeeds in kayaking solo the length of the Mississippi, he'll be the first person to have done so.
We've run out of money. We're now spending my savings, and I don't know how he's going to pay me back. We can't go on like this. Something has to happen. It's really so badly organised. I'd pull out now if it wasn't for the film crew keeping me sane.
Below St. Louis, the river is in high flood. The current is running at 9 miles an hour, and the river is 2 miles wide. From here to the Gulf, levee banks protect the towns and farming land from high water. This flood has risen quickly, and even with the levees, some emergency action is needed to protect low-lying areas. Ron stays out of the current because his touring kayak is unstable in the rough water. Where he once thought that he could use the current for extra speed, he now realizes the danger of capsizing and hugs the shore. Despite the direct assistance from the current, Ron has, for the first time, caught the British.
Old timers day?
Everything's so processed in this country. Even the orange juice is made from concentrate. Why can't they just squeeze oranges? The butter's white, and that's hard to get used to. Everything's either had chemicals added to it, or they actually take something out of it. I've only seen lamb once, and there's plenty of sheep roaming around.
The seats come away from the bottom of the canoe. We'll have to stop at this checkpoint. And Ron isn't feeling very well.
The Australians are now ahead, but day 28 is short. Ron has a serious case of hay fever and is having breathing difficulties.
Yeah, if this doesn't stick, and then we can say goodbye to the trip.
The constant pressure being exerted on the seat has split the joins. Unless it is rigid, Ron cannot put his full weight into each stroke, so the quality of this repair is crucial.
Is that logged up to date yet, Kev?
No, but it soon will be.
Ron Bath cares little for going on.
Did you know we only done 44 miles a day? What a pity, hey?
Day 29. A fateful day. Ron's hay fever becomes severe in the early hours of the morning, and he is taken to hospital. After treatment, he improves. He is prepared to continue, but his heart is not in it.
Are you sure you've got your nasal spray?
I don't need it.
And your eye drops?
The seat seems secure. He is again level with the British.
See you later.
Be careful.
At 9 a.m., in much discomfort, he launches.
Keep a close eye on him, Kev.
But it will be many hours before Carolyn will see him again. A series of events take place on day 29.
I can't tell whether this is a grid line or a road or a county line. It's too straight for a road.
Carolyn misses the first two checkpoints. As the day wears on, Ron's strength returns. So does his will to win.
Hey, Kev, how about some night paddling?
Yeah, maybe we can catch up some time.
Will you just listen to me? You're not going to be able to see where you're going.
So, on an unknown river in raging flood, and with a half moon only to light their way, the brothers paddle into the arms of fate.
God, it's 10:30. I told him not to do it.
Are you looking for two Australian guys in canoes?
Yes.
They've had an accident.
So we decided to take a chance of getting around the bend before the barge come. And of course I went out first, and Kevin followed with the support craft. We were just in out of the current, and we just went a little bit out, of course where the fast flowing bit was, and Kevin's craft, the motor, managed to stall.
The canoe pushed the canoe into the stump where it crushed the bow of it, and all of a sudden there was a sudden gush of water that come piling into the canoe, and it came in that fast.
We heard cracks and crashes from the front of the boat, from the kayak. It was cracking up under the strain of the water pressure pressing the canoe against it. And it was, that all took about 2 seconds. It happened that quick. The water just poured in and sank everything, turned the canoe upside down.
I found a branch where I clinged onto, but it snapped. I tried to grab 3 branches, but they all snapped, until we finally found this log raft that we crawled onto.
And the I must have floated for about 10 feet downstream, and there was an overhead branch I tried to hang onto. And of course, the water pressure, when I hung onto it, the water pressure just dragged the canoe from beneath me, and I was hanging there. I just couldn't hang any longer, so I just dropped into the water. And all I could hear was Kevin yelling, "Ron, Ron, Ron, where are you?" All I could see was these branches I was reaching out for, they were breaking. And I looked over to my side and I saw Kevin's yellow jacket, and he was hanging on a very thick log.
He was not very far behind me when he grabbed onto that log raft. Then I gave him my life jacket, because that was the only one I could reach for, as we didn't have them on.
Kevin managed to get around me and get up on the drift, and I managed to get up as well. We were sitting there soaping wet, and it was very dark by this stage, and we didn't know what we were going to do, just out in the middle of nowhere. And fortunately, we heard this barge, the barge that we actually saw. It took about 8 minutes to come around the bend, but it must have seen this canoe upside down. It must have picked it up on its radar, because we saw the searchlights looking for us, and they were going very, very slow. And finally they spotted Kevin's yellow jacket that he was wearing, and we were both freezing at the stage.
Coast Guard, Marianne, the Coast Guard Lower Mississippi River. I have spotted 2 persons adrift on some logs in the Mississippi River, mile 880. I have on spotlights on the assistance of help. The boat has overturned.
Just hang on, guys. I can't get close to you with this tow here. They have help coming to assist you here in about an hour.
By that time, we knew we were saved, but I don't think we could have lasted too long out there.
Would have been about an hour and a half before the towboat came down, and even then we were wondering how anybody was going to get so close to us, because the drift was so fragile.
He come up down the current and come up from behind, crushed the log raft, and all the logs went up everywhere, and we used them as a ladder to get on top of into the towboat.
And we climbed on and we were taken ashore. But in all my years of canoeing and the kilometres that I've done, I've never gone through anything like that.
Both craft are gone. Equipment and first aid supplies are gone. The radio is gone. And as the minutes of the day pass, the chance of a record is sliding away.
Well, I've searched the riverbanks for 6 hours, from as far up as the rescue point till in the landing, and there's just no sign of them.
This is the United States. I have a collect call from Mr. Ron Bath for Mike McCall. Will you accept the charges?
Okay.
Connecting you now.
Hello, Mike.
G'day, Ron. How are you going?
Look, mate, we've got a real problem. Last night we had an accident.
Oh, hell, Ron. What have you
Yeah,
done?
I'll tell you about it when I get back. It's a long story. The problem is this, we haven't got any money at this stage. Unless we get some help from somewhere, we won't be able to continue the trip. The boats are gone, so we've got to get new equipment.
Radio 2BH in the Bath brothers' hometown offers to run an appeal to raise money. With the hope of a result, Ron drives to Memphis to search for another kayak. There is nothing to be found in the tourist style, only slalom. A used kayak is bought by the film director, and a race against time to refit her begins. Fins are fitted to the hull for stability, and a complete seat and footrest system is built to suit the paddler. Days 30 and 31 have now passed with no